Hello everybody, it's Gary Hallican here, and today we are looking at another Lego type car, but as you can see this one is a little bit different because this one is of course meant to be Bumblebee. So this is the GUDI Transform Series, and from a company called Jin, it looks like. And of course, as I mentioned, this is meant to be Bumblebee from the Transformers movies. I think though that this kit builds either the robot or the car. The car, of course, is the 2006 Camaro that Bumblebee transforms into in most of the movies. But I don't think it builds one that then transforms into the other one. I think it's either or, but we will find out for sure once we get it complete. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we get in here. No box for this one. It just came in this Ziploc bag. We've got the manual. That's actually the back of it. So here's the front of the manual. It's the same picture on both sides. And it has instructions for the robot first, it looks like. And then has instructions for the car later, I think, here. So yeah, here's finished robot, and then here's instructions for the car. So I'm expecting that you build one or the other, so I will find out. You can see here the parts count is 238 pieces, so a little bit less than a typical Speed Champions car. So we will see how it compares to those once we get it done. As far as the rest of the things in the bag, it looks like there's no sticker sheet at all. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of parts. So we get 5 bags of parts, and they're pretty much completely yellow and black. There's a couple clear blue pieces, it looks like, but pretty much entirely, there's some dark gray pieces, pretty much entirely yellow and black. One cool thing though is it looks like this would be the hood maybe, or the trunk piece is printed on there. So here's another piece that is maybe like that. I'm gonna get twisted around. Yep, so we get a couple pieces that are yellow with some black printed on it. So I will build the robot and then come back and show you what we get. Okay, so we're back with our new robot here, and it's actually not bad. It's better than I expected it to be. I expected the robot mode to be kind of an afterthought with this kit, but this robot mode's not bad, and it's taller than I expected it to be, and it makes a fairly reasonable attempt at appearing to be movie Bumblebee. So for comparison, here are a couple Bumblebees. I have Bumblebee in several different scales, but I don't have one that's the same size as this robot. So I've got one that's a little bit smaller and one that is a little bit bigger right here. So as I said, this robot makes a reasonable approximation. It's got some of the same design elements, so the feet are pretty similar. It's got the same kind of heel pieces. The wheels end up being in the right spots on the feet, and on the back here it has the door panel wings, right? So you can at least, you know, tell what it was going for. The head, of course, is completely different, but the head is pretty neat here. It's a good looking robot head, and the one single clear blue piece in the kit is the visor for the head here. So this, you know, robot's not bad or anything. It's got some good articulation going on in some places at least, but it's not the sturdiest thing. I think the hips especially can come off pretty easily. But as far as articulation goes, the door panel wings can move a little bit. The head can turn. We have the shoulders on ball joints, so we can do anything with those. We get a full bend at the elbow, full 180-degree bend at the elbow. And then the fingers, which are just wrench pieces actually, those can move, can swivel back and forth. Nothing at the waist. And then the hips are a little bit strange. So the hips cannot go forward or back at all. They can just go out, only about that far, and can go in, of course. Interestingly, though, the picture on the manual shows different pieces used for the hips. And those pieces are actually in the kit here. So these pieces are in this kit, but I think that even if I used these pieces for the hips, they still couldn't go forward or back. They could only go in and out. So that's a little bit strange, though, that the picture has different pieces for the hips than the actual instructions had you use for the hips. Then the knees are on ball joints. I guess you would call these knees. They were maybe a little bit low for knees, but ball joint here. And there's a piece that came off right there. And then the feet, the front of the foot can swivel. It's a little too loose, unfortunately, so you get some issues with this standing. It stands up pretty well on its own, but a little bit loose there. And then the heel pieces can move as well. So some articulation going on. So overall, I would say this robot isn't bad, but I would say that what I feared is true, that it took pretty much all the parts to build the robot. Here are the remaining parts after building the robot. So that means that building the car is going to mean taking the robot completely apart. So I'm going to do that next and build the car and see what we get with it. Okay, so we're back with car mode. And of course it is meant to be the Camaro, right, that Bumblebee turns into. And this is pretty good, I think. It does a pretty good job of evoking the car that it's supposed to be. And it does that with no stickers at all. So there's no stickers anywhere on this kit. I think this is definitely the stronger mode than the robot mode. So I will probably be keeping it in car mode. It was a little bit difficult to build this because you had to take the robot completely apart. Here are the remaining parts that are unused in car mode. So number of pieces that were just for the robot and don't fit onto the car. There are definitely some unusual things about this car, though. So first thing, it is 8 studs wide like a regular Speed Champion's, but it's very squat in its other proportions. It's very short both horizontally and vertically. To show you what I mean, here it is with the Speed Champion's Dodge Charger. So you see they are the same width, but our Camaro here is much shorter in its other proportions. So you can see there, its wheelbase is a lot shorter, and it's shorter vertically as well, if you can see that. Like, we would never get a minifigure to fit in the Camaro here. So it's a little bit unusual scaling wise. It's not going to scale well with your other Speed Champions type cars, even though it is the same width. There's some other unusual things about the build with this. For instance, the windshield is just kind of sitting on here. There isn't really anything interior detail wise, but the reason the windshield is just sitting on there is because if you do plug it onto this piece as the instructions call for, it will only go back that far. So you can see it's sticking up and there's a big gap in here. And if you look at the picture on the manual, you can see that it's not actually attached right there. It's just kind of laying in there. So that makes it look better. The doors look like they would open, but they're blocked by some other pieces, so they don't really open very well. But overall, this isn't too bad. It's definitely sturdier than the robot mode, but like I said, it doesn't really scale well with the other ones. For comparison to our Bumblebees, it does actually maintain the same scale that it had in robot mode, so it's a little bit bigger than this one and a little bit smaller than that one. So the it does maintain the same scale that it had with these when it was in robot mode, and it doesn't look too bad with those. You can see it's definitely brighter yellow than these, but I will probably put it in with my Bumblebee collection, and I don't think it will fit too badly there. So overall, I would say this one is not bad. I'd say it's not as good as some of the other car kits I reviewed. It was a couple dollars cheaper than one of the Mold King cars, but it's not bad. If you like it, and then you can check it out. All right, let me know in the comments if you have this car, or if you have any other similar ones, or if there are any other ones you'd like to see, and we'll see you in the next review.